All right.
That's our goal, Mr. Englund. Our goal is to choke them all out.
Choke them all out.
And your job, your help today, that's what's going to push us over the edge. We're going to literally attack other podcasts in their dreams. We're going to kill them one by one at a time.
I like that kind of talk.
Yes! Very few times are the sacred audio hallways of Last Podcast and Left graced by true legends. But this time, one is here. On Zoom.
Yeah.
One's on Zoom. And we have truly, this is obviously a pillar of our world. The ultimate man of nightmares. The star of arguably the peak of his career, Pinocchio Unstrung, is Robert Englund. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, I don't think I've ever been called sacred before. I kind of like it. I think we have to give a little cred here to the great Richard Brake, who plays Geppetto in Pinocchio Unstrung, because Richard's an old friend of mine and a previous co-star of mine in a little film with Robert Patrick and Hal Holbrook that we did together a couple of years ago. And I've just been, such a fan of Richard's ever since, following him, including his incredible turn on Mayor of Kingstown with Jeremy Renner.
Right?
Where he plays the white supremacist, in
He's
jail.
terrifying in that.
And spoiler alert, the best death scene in a long time. Just amazing. The guy knows how to die.
Yeah. He's real. He is legitimately. We saw Pinocchio Unstrung. Honestly, I was surprised at the level of art and care that went into this movie, into this independent production with the puppets and the visual effects. How'd you get involved in this? How'd they rope you in besides massive piles of cash?
I think I wish they were massive. I hope they're not the piles. Anyway, getting old, piles means something different. No, I knew about the Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
And my generation, and this isn't horror, but in a kind of Mad Magazine, Mad TV, SNL kind of way, we had a sort of beloved experience with a show called Fractured Fairy Tales, which back in the 50s and early 60s was part of the Jay Ward, Rocky and Bullwinkle, all of that stuff with great voice work. Hans Conried, lots of people were working for those teams back then. So I've always loved the idea of that. And then in college, and also during the many years of my sort of, I'm going to say, intellectual interviews regarding horror, especially in Europe, I was reminded of all of the stuff we talked about in school and later on with Bruno Bettelheim and Carl Jung and all of the really source darkness and Freudian sexuality and everything else that's in the actual fairy tales. I mean, my God, Hansel and Gretel is a cautionary tale by the terrible parents to their children. If you do not behave, Achtung, if you do not behave, you must go into the forest, into the black, dark forest. It's actually called the Black Forest. And what happens when you're starving? There's a famine going on in Germany. What happens when you're starving? What's the first symptom? You hallucinate. Pie. A great chocolate cake, or perhaps a house with cookie shingles, and made of food. So, this is all dark shit. Rumpelstiltskin, that's a nasty, nasty story. What's going on there? And so I think that the fairy tales, after having been, and I don't say this as a criticism, just as a fact, but after having been Disneyfied for many years and cleaned up, so we don't hurt our children. I think what happened is it's almost incumbent upon us to sort of return some of them to their source, their dark, dark source.
Why are we literally so afraid to scare kids now? I know when I was a little boy, a lot of my favorite media also scared me.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was sort of a reaction to other aspects of the culture that perhaps put the cart in front of the horse a little too much. I know a couple of blocks from me, and this has saved me from being pranked on Halloween where I live, but a couple blocks north of me, Oak Street, nightmare on Oak Street, but all the dads who love Halloween and had their helicopter moms, all the beautiful MILFs, and everybody, is a little bit bougie, but great people and wonderful neighbors. But the dads were had it up to here with the kind of Frozen princess Halloween.
Yeah.
That's dress up. Halloween is monsters.
Exactly.
And the Day of the Dead and vampires and werewolves and Frankensteins and ghosts and skeletons. And it's the dark side. And they sort of had it with it going almost into some kind of ridiculous princess cosplay. And they sort of took over their street and made it really dark, all the decorations for Halloween. And, when that happened, I was spared a lot of the sort of trick or treat traffic. But I remembered back to when I was a kid, and there was always a couple of kids that would be popular culture. I think my liberal parents, even dressed me as Fidel Castro one year.
Communism is the true fear. Yeah, that is what we're afraid of.
Yeah, he was man of the year. But that was a popular culture reference. Maybe trying to win a costume contest or something at a neighborhood party. But we all wanted to be dark. That was the whole thing back then. And and it was always bargaining with your parents about how much fake blood you could put, on your costume and stuff. And the pranks, the sugar in the gas tanks and waxing screens, and ringing doorbells and disappearing and all of that. Yeah. Turds in paper bags being set on fire, all that good stuff.
We're still doing it.
It was a dark night. It was a night of pranks. And I'm not talking about vandalism, but good all-American fun.
Some light vandalism.
And I think it got a little sanitized because some people did take it too far in Detroit and other places. So I think it got a little sanitized, and now there was a reaction against that. And I think that also sort of is the opening for a kind of politically incorrect fractured fairy tale.
That's right.
It really works. My favorite scene in the entire movie is when Pinocchio removes the guts from the person when scooping all the guts out of the guy, and then he's just kind of cram all the guts back into his torso. That was one of my favorite because I was like, yeah, that is like he is just trying to be a real boy.
Yeah, no, that's how you would do it.
I want to be a real live boy. Damn it.
But can I ask, this is not a criticism at all, but what part of Italy does this movie take place in, the fact that a man is naturally named Geppetto?
Well, I think the original, the Collodi, the original story, I know I've been doing horror movies and publicity in Italy since the very early 80s, and I love it. It's my favorite country. But, the Pinocchio puppets, are ubiquitous. They're everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
They celebrate Collodi as an Italian, but I think it's extreme northern Italy. It's all which some people call the Tyrolean. So it's that blend of Austrian, Swiss, northern Italy, a little German, the Tyrol, Lederhosen, and the food is a little different up there. There's the mountains have snow on them in the winter. Yeah, it's not the South. It's not the Sofia Loren, Naples. It's the North. It's Italy's a big country, and it's very like the United States. Maine is as different from New Orleans as New Orleans is, from the coast of the state of Washington or Oregon. They're very different. They're different people. They have different interests, different hobbies, and Italy's that way too.
Are PR tours easier in Europe than in America? Like when you go over there for horror, are they easier and more fun in Italy?
The difference for me was, in my first experience in Europe, I'm the luckiest son of a bitch in the world. I had a back-to-back science fiction miniseries that was international, and a horror movie within a year and a half that was also an international hit. And I was international, meaning people knew my name overnight.
Yeah.
And so I was there a lot. And it's an interesting point of view. In my first big, astounding, thing that I recognized was the respect for horror as a genre in Europe.
Yeah.
It's right up there with gangster movies and film noir and the Western. They probably like it even more than the so-called romantic comedy. They really
have
respect
art film. They have art
It's-
film,
yeah.
but horror and those types of genre movies seem to really actually then put butts in seats that fills
Well, it's
it
not
out.
just that. They recognize that the stylistic director can really show his stuff when he's working in the world of horror, fantasy, and science fiction. And that's why, they worship, Dario Argento and the great Spanish vampire directors and some of the English directors in the world of Hammer films with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and everyone, Barbara Steele and everyone. So that world, it has a kind of genre respect, and they respect it like the graphic novel, or as another idiom of film, like the Western, or something else. So it's an equivalent. It's not in America. When I first started out, and you were in horror movies, and I had done a fat 10 years of A-list films, working with the biggest stars of the 70s, Burt Reynolds and Charles Bronson. People forget how big these people were. And Barbara Streisand and a young Jeff Bridges and Sally Field and Susan Sarandon and then Peter Strauss, who was the god of TV movies along with Martin Sheen.
Yes.
But it was this strange thing, whereas they knew in Europe that this was a genre that had replaced the Western and replaced the sort of Jimmy Cagney, Edward G. Robinson gangster film. And it was to be respected. And, I had done the other work, but I remember I might have been Paramount, but I remember the Friday the 13th guys, and we're stuck kind of over by the kitchen door, with the porthole and the waiters coming out with the tray, boing, bang, and in and out. The worst seat in the house. And yet it was, a youth movie, Dirty Mary and Crazy Larry, with that nasty Susan St. George and Peter Fonda that I think saved Fox as a summer programmer, so that they had enough money to option Star Wars. And I think Friday the 13th really helped fill the coffers after the debacle of King of the Gypsies, the big Paramount flop. And so this is that thing, the horror wasn't really getting respect, but it became a go-to moneymaker. And people forget B-movie, in the 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s, when you went to the movies, you got to see two movies for the price of one. Double feature, right? Double bill. And many times the second movie was considered a B movie, but it doesn't mean bad or less than. B means budget.
Yeah.
It just was on it was made on a different budget.
Yeah, it's the other side of the
than the
single.
other movie. Yeah. But many of those movies have come to be some of our greatest films in the history of Hollywood. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they lasted the span of time. We are now running a movie podcast show. We just now been talking about the idea of those movies hold up way more than the last 5 years of movies, not besides Pinocchio Unstrung.
Yes.
Yeah.
The last 5 years of movies, many of these movies are going to kind of be forgotten because of the way they're being made. I actually think that Pinocchio Unstrung, to be frank, is a good indicator of that kind of coming to the other side of people of our generation making movies that love puppets, that love actual blood, actual gore.
Yeah, I mean, blood and gore and action and violence and all of
It ages better.
those parts of the
Practical
recipe.
effects.
They're part of the recipe. I mean, I don't want to live in a world that doesn't celebrate the original invasions of the body snatchers.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to live in a world that doesn't celebrate them.
Yeah.
The Giant Ant movie.
It's frightening. Them is
these
frightening.
Were great
It's good.
films. These are great films, and they had to be made with a low budget, and so everybody was constantly on their toes, from production design through camera, through direction, through the actors, to do a good job. No one set out to make a cheap looking movie, just because your budget was limited.
Yeah.
And I've done recently, I did, The Midnight Man with Lin Shaye, which is sort of one of those subset horror movies, the games you shouldn't play. Don't play that game. I did another one, Urban Legend, which I'm very proud of.
A lot of fun.
Glossy, but great film.
Yeah.
And a terrific performance by Rebecca Gayheart. And everybody's in that. Brad Dourif's in that movie and wonderful other actors. And then, so I did one of those, and then I did a kind of a classic, kind of Brian De Palma 70s film called The Last Showing over in England. Which I'm really proud of. And I did a little retro one for last Halloween, Natty Knox for my friend Dwight Little, wonderful director who did my Phantom of the Opera, and an old friend. But I've done different kinds. And I realized I hadn't done anything down and dirty and nasty for a while.
Yeah.
And I knew about Winnie the Pooh, and I thought, it's about time to, put a little spice into my resume again, So it was wonderful and easy for me to say yes to Pinocchio Unstrung, even though we can talk about it like the European critics would, over a glass of wine and a cigarette in a hotel lobby in Madrid. We can talk about the coming of age story that is Pinocchio, but also we got the nasty bits.
I tell you what, I let's just say we're huge fans of Guillermo del Toro,
yes.
right? But huge fans.
Mimic's one of my favorite movies.
Love it, and I love Kronos. I love all of it.
Yeah.
All those his old movies.
And Devil's Backbone.
He's incredible.
Yeah,
with a leg or without it. You're gonna have her with leg or without it.
I love it.
Actor, that brilliant actor that played the lead. God,
so good.
Yeah,
but I will say, my taste runs more towards a Pinocchio Unstrung look at the story because we've seen the big fancy Pinocchio 1,000 times. We had, what's his name? Was it Roberto Benigni?
Oh,
remember when he
yes.
he did his highfalutin Pinocchio? We've seen highfalutin Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Well,
we had Tom
and
Hanks.
listen, I understand that because Roberto Benigni was doing a salute to Italian culture and how they think of that story, because they celebrate it. It's a national memory of a passage in childhood,
Yeah.
Yes.
where for us, for every kid that has a Frozen as a natural passage of childhood, there's also a kid that had The Exorcist, as a test, a passage of rites, and they're both to be celebrated. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like it when we tend to think we have to like tone everything down. I think people can handle that. I mean, that's the reason we have ratings.
Yeah.
And
the original Pinocchio from 1941 is terrifying. As far as Disney movies go, I'm going to call it the scariest one.
There's some mutation stuff going on in that. Well, I mean, I love Night on Bald Mountain from Fantasia.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, and then there's that weird necrophilia in Snow White. But I got to tell you, I used to go for auditions at Disney back in the 70s. And we actors passed around, over a couple of beers at the local pub in Laurel Canyon. We would pass around that you go once you got that pass and you're on the lot for an audition and you park in that crappy lot, in the heat of summer far away from everything, you can walk up onto the campus of the original, well, not the original, but the studios of Walt Disney.
Yeah.
And you walk right in the animation building. And what our secret was, you walk up the stairs to the second floor, and they had a constantly changing, evolving show of cells from all the Disney movies ever made. And I remember seeing the background cells for the Island of Lost Boys from Pinocchio.
Yeah, Pleasure Island.
Wow, there was some cool stuff. And later on, about another month later on a callback or something, I saw all of the mutation cells and original drawings for Pinocchio's transformation, Oh my, just great stuff there. Great, crazy, dark stuff. And you'd see ones that weren't used. A dark pencil drawing that wasn't used, that was just a little too hardcore. But still, they knew where to draw the line, or they thought they had to at that time. They had their own sort of standards.
Yo, yeah, it's terrifying, that movie. I mean, when Lampwick transforms into the Donkey Boy, and he has a mental breakdown and starts breaking the mirror and like bleeding all over that. It's terrifying.
It's like the opening scene of Apocalypse Now.
and I remember seeing the pencil drawings of Donkey Boy, and as a kid, that's terrifying. Are there any?
Yes, so good. Are there any parts or things that you either went out for or saw that you're like, man, I wish I could have fucking got a shot at that?
Well, no, I mean, we all of us, and this is what we thrive on. It's along with adrenaline, it's the ones that got away. I remember being called back several times for a film, and it was, I think, the most expensive film being made in Hollywood that year, called March or Die, a French Foreign Legion movie with Gene Hackman. Ooh. And I didn't get the part, and I can't remember the name of the actor that did. He certainly didn't, go on to do a lot of other stuff. And nothing because
you murdered him in his sleep.
Nothing against him, but I remember losing sleep over that. I remember losing sleep. I got called back a couple of times for the great Jack Nicholson film, The Last Detail, for the young sailor, the young Southern sailor that goes to the brig. And I remember reading the book, and in the book, I could be wrong about this, and my memory could be failing me here, but I don't remember him as being big. I remember the boy. He was vulnerable. Yeah. That's why Jack Nicholson and his MP partner kind of save him, because they know he's not going to survive the brig.
Oh, okay.
And and listen, recent history, notwithstanding, Randy Quaid is a wonderful, brilliant actor. From the last Picture Show to Missouri Breaks and beyond, Randy Quaid is a wonderful actor, and he was terrific. He was terrific in that film, but I always thought he was too tall.
Did you end up seeing his sex tape?
It looked like he could have. It looked like Randy could have taken care of himself. Yeah,
for sure.
In more ways than one.
Yes.
Whereas little Robert Englund, doing my little, thin Southern boy, whose mama might have loved him too much. You would have worried about me going to the brig, the Marine brig.
God,
whether I could survive.
Talking about the past, one of the major comedy influences to me was The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. I love that movie. I thought it was great. You were wonderful as Smiley. How surprised are you to see Andrew Dice Clay become this great actor?
Well, here's the thing. Andrew was always an actor. We actors, when I watched Andrew's stand-up act, I could see his recipe, and there was a little bit of Fonzie, a little bit of if Fonzie cursed, okay. Mm-hmm. So Henry Winkler obviously got it from one of those Long Island guys. A little bit of Joey Buttafuoco.
Yeah.
And that Long Island guy, that moment of time, and the way those guys treated and addressed women and talked about them, which was crass and stupid, but also fucking funny, you know. And he was doing a character. He was doing a character of that guy.
Yeah, because he was an impressionist before that.
That you could laugh at and with. And it's a performance thing. So when I saw him in his other stuff, I wasn't surprised that Andrew's got some chops. I used to go, when I got a big residual, to this gourmet market on Sunset Boulevard. And I had a lot of adventures in this market, Christmas shopping one year, stoned and things like that. But I used to see Andrew there a lot. I think he was driving a big Cadillac convertible then, and he would be in the parking lot, shining it, and looking good for the ladies, all the milfs that shop there from up in the Hollywood Hills, And this is way long before he was, the Clay, he was, and so it doesn't surprise me. I remember when he I think I was in his dressing room talking about something when he signed the contracts for his first home. And he was like a big kid. He was nervous about sign, that stack you have to sign when you buy a house, And so, it's strange, I mean, I liked Nora on SNL, but I think her protest against Andrew was a little misguided because that was a character he was playing, I certainly don't think Andrew, hates women or anything like that. And, Andrew went on to do Woody Allen movies and an HBO show and lots of other stuff. And the last thing I saw her in was a toilet bowl commercial. So I'm, and she's a wonderful actress. She's a wonderful actress too, but it's like such an unnecessary thing. It's like early on I learned, you can't be envious or jealous or competitive in that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Sturm. Where you seek failure for your fellow artists.
Live your life, live it.
Failure.
You're living for Schadenfreude.
I hate it when any movie bombs, even if it's a movie I don't like, because it's bad for Hollywood. It means there's going to be less movies made. I want everything to be a hit.
Exactly.
And when I see actors, make a lot of money that maybe they don't, there's other actors that deserve that more. That doesn't make me hate them, or like them any less just because they hit the jackpot,
Yeah. And
that's just an unhealthy way to live.
Oh, yeah, very much so. And like Andrew Dice Clay, do you think that your persona as like the master of horror also sort of like paints how people react to you? Like, do you think that like do you feel you disappoint people by not being a child murderer?
Well, here's the thing. I had a fat 10 years in Hollywood before I ever did Freddy.
Yeah.
And in that 10 years, I did a dozen movies and starred in half of them. Again, I starred with Jeff Bridges and Sally Field and Henry Fonda, Jeff Bridges. These are
I do want to ask quickly, what was Charles Bronson like?
Charles had a guy, an assistant, who had a little miniature ticker tape with him. And he would be checking his stock market things. And he also would tear out dialogue, and keep it real simple.
Of course.
And parse his lines down to smaller, clean lines of dialogue. And also I watched him, and he would practice reaching for a prop. So he didn't have to look at it when he went to get it. And he'd measure it off. And in a way, he moved and rehearsed his physical stuff like a dancer. He wasn't big. He was compact, but he moved beautifully, like Lee Marvin moves beautifully, or Kevin Bacon moves really well and interesting. Old John Wayne had that great, strange grace in the way he moved. Yeah. And I watched him do that, like he would measure his grip for a coffee cup so that he could just keep talking to you and reach out a frame and bring that coffee cup in, or unscrew that bottle, and switch hands. And, he was great that way. He really moved. If you see some of his movies, Cato's Land and things like that, and watch him move, he's just beautiful to watch. We forget, how big Charles Bronson was. Every culture in the world thought he was one of theirs. They all claimed it. The Russians thought he was Russians. The Polish thought he was Polish. Well, he kind of was. Czechoslovakians thought he was Czechoslovakian. Spaniards thought he was Spanish.
Yeah.
He had that idiosyncratic way about him that kind of cut through everything. Like, I feel like that's thing about actors we're missing a little bit now. It's like anybody can impersonate Charles Bronson. Anybody can impersonate Marlon Brando. You know the voice so indicatively.
Well, this is one of the things we've lost. If you think about Jimmy Stewart's hesitant delivery, or Henry Fonda's Midwestern accent, or Brando, or John Wayne, you recognized them when you heard them, let alone when you saw them. It was a signature voice. And I think that that's something that actors have to realize is part of the component, of an actor. Every once in a while, there's certain actresses that have such beautiful, deep, husky voices. You just love hearing them speak. and it makes them just that much more fascinating or sexy or you like that. Yeah. They come with a full toolbox, so to speak. And we've lost that a little bit. And I think that people probably thought they could compensate by going to the gym, or something, but you can, as long as you're taking your shirt off, but then you also have to sound right when you speak.
Well, that's what makes you so important. It's clearly you and Pinocchio Unstrung, and it was great to hear you curse again. By the way,
I mean, all I tried to do was to avoid the Freddy laugh as much as I could, because the Freddy laugh is an old class exercise from voice class, that I had, and that was my go-to thing, because it's about the breathing on the diaphragm to sustain that laugh. And so my muscle memory, I fall into the Freddy laugh pretty automatically. Now I have to consciously pitch it higher and breathe less, to get, if I'm doing an evil laugh when I'm doing a voiceover, for animation or something. Now I consciously have to pitch it high and bite off the air and turn it more into kind of like a demonic giggle or something. So I don't remind everybody that they're listening to Freddy Krueger.
Well, you've done many transformative performances. Like your work in The Mangler is great. You're just like, you just appear into that guy, and I love that movie too. And you've at this point,
that's the great Tobe Hooper again too.
God,
Stephen King loves Tobe Hooper. Stephen King loves the way Tobe treats the Stephen King canon.
Yes, there was something about coming back to the idea of being now like a horror icon. You went through having a whole acting career. Now you're a horror icon. Are you ever just fuck, I just want to be in a Dove commercial, but everyone's so frightening of me. Everybody's I can't. Yeah. I would love to see how you shower.
Well, it's strange now. I'm going to be doing a sequel to a wonderful, smart horror film I did called Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Yes, that's right.
It's one of those films that's slowly ascending on the cult market, but it still hasn't been seen enough, and I'm really proud of it. And there's a wonderful performances in that film. But we had written a sequel for figuring Scott Wilson into it. Mm-hmm. In a really big way, and God love him, Scott passed away. And
that's hard.
And we lost a great actor that I go way back with, and so it took them years to figure out another script for that. But I'll be in that doing my sort of homage to Donald Pleasance again.
Yes.
And I'm lucky. I did a lot before I did Freddy. So I was established in Hollywood. And, a lot of Americans haven't seen them, but, I've done nearly 100 movies, and I've done dozens of movies in Europe, on a level of Behind the Mask. The Last Showing is one, for Phil Hawkins with a wonderful actor in it. Finn Jones just does a great performance, and he was the gay knight in Game of Thrones. But it's really a good little sort of salute to Brian De Palma. Really immaculate, great little low budget film. And I've done a lot of that stuff, in Italy and Spain and England and Russia and all over. So I get to do that. I play the old prince or the old priest or the mad doctor, or the old psychiatrist, and I tell the backstory, and I get to play with my skills, doing a monologue. I even got to do the monologue, even though I was doing a Robert Englund makeup role. I got to do a wonderfully written, cadenced monologue that really was a great intercut between the actual event and my telling it in Stranger Things.
Yes.
So I get to do that stuff,
You also work with complete madman J.J. Viard several times.
Oh, yeah.
I love that guy. I have done one project with him. I used to work for Adult Swim extensively. I love J.J. What's his, can you honestly just tell me, give a little insight of what his process is like?
But, it's so strange because I saw I saw the pencil drawings because I played a gob of snot And I think I played one of the three bears. I can't remember.
Yeah,
It was like
Porridge Dad,
a Goldilocks fractured fairy tale.
And then
But
you
it
also
was-
did King Star King, which was great.
Yeah, it was the gross out version. You know,
Yeah.
it was gross out humor, but it's really off the wall. And you know, you get pieces of it when you're talking to him, and you get because you want to be on the same page, but you got to wait till you see it. You know, and then it all comes together. It's just one of those things. I mean, you know, you imagine. Look, I loved Sinners. I really loved Sinners.
Yeah.
But can you imagine the pitch to that? Now, you had the help of Get Out being a big hit,
Yeah.
Yes.
which is maybe African folktale, you know, brought into contemporary concept. So we have a whole new source material we can go after. But imagine trying, you know, even though he was a huge director at the time, still pitching Sinners, you know?
It's hard.
Musicology, the history of American music, you know, vampires, slavery, voodoo, African myth, slave myth, all of that. And you're going to make it, and you're going to put it all into one. Any one of those statements could be an entire movie. But to put them all in one movie and mash them up like that and have that kind of success where you just went on that ride. I remember that musical number, which was like the history of American music, and that moving camera, you know, and that dancing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you saw one of the guys from the Funkadelics,
Yeah.
you know, out of the corner of your eye, and you're like, did I see that? He
Yeah,
had
was
the
that
brilliance
Bootsy?
to hide it, to blend it in the choreography over here. Later on, you got a close up of it, but it was like, am I hallucinating? Am I imagining that? Is this dance? And yet it was all intentional and all choreographed, you know, within an inch of its life, and it just brilliant stuff. But that's that thing, you know, is when you have ideas that wild, and you wonder. Part of it is, you know, it's hard to pitch that stuff, and I think, you know, with you know, I don't understand how when they describe some stuff it gets bought, because I wouldn't get it either. I wouldn't get it either, but it does.
Yeah.
Then
I
there's
have no
other
idea.
stuff. There's other stuff that you see and you watch it and you go, I don't know how that got made. You know, that's the flip side of that. You know,
Every day I say this.
yeah.
Every day I scream that into the night.
Well, I mean, after you go through your checklist, they made it for money. They made it because it's a sequel. They made it because those are popular characters. They made it because they thought they needed a rom-com movie released this June. Whatever. You know, you see that. But once you've exhausted all those checklists, you go, why did they make that movie? You know?
Yeah.
Who's the target audience for that movie?
Yeah. You've mentioned rom-coms twice, and I got to say, being a horror icon that you are, I feel like horror is the only prolific genre over time. Like everything comes and goes. Rom-coms are kind of out right now. Regular comedies are kind of out right now.
But I think we still have romance films.
yes.
Yes.
And we have horror, and we have action films. And it's fun, you know, it's so much fun to to go on Apple TV or to go on Netflix or to go on Prime Video or somewhere, and then to deep dive, you know, and you find these great little wonderful action movies, you know, that with you know, European stars or low budget. There's one there's two of them now. Can't think of the name. It's a foreign name, like a Finnish name. It's a director from Finland, and they're revenge movies. They're a guy, and he
Sisu.
avenges himself on the
The
Nazis.
Sisu.
Yes,
The Sisu movies are amazing.
that guy's up there with George Miller.
Yeah.
That director.
Yeah, no,
That's
those are
fabulous
incredible.
stuff. But the second one is almost Roadrunner. It almost de-evolves into Russian Nazi Roadrunner.
Yeah,
But
it's great.
I mean, I watched it on the edge of my couch, but why aren't people talking about those movies? I mean, I'd love to ask Tarantino, you know, if we could go to his little movie theater in Hollywood and have a double bill of those, you know?
Yeah, dude, have you seen-
serve everybody borscht and German
my gosh.
sausage.
That'd be incredible. Have you ever seen the film The Last Circus?
No.
It is a
Last
2010.
No.
I
find
feel
it.
like I cannot believe I'm going to recommend you this movie.
Yeah.
The Last Circus.
I'm gonna look at it.
It is.
I got it. Last Circus. Yeah.
It is a
The
basic.
director's amazing. He did another movie called Witchin' and Bitchin' that's right on the money too.
It is amazing. It is
Yeah.
the only way to describe it. It is fascist clowns left behind in the Spanish Revolution, and they have to save their circus by killing everybody. You have to look at it. You're
okay.
gonna
I will.
love this
Yeah,
thing.
this is right up your alley.
Yes,
Now,
It sounds like it has a little bit of Devil's Backbone.
it
in
does
you know
a
that.
little bit.
Yeah, Franco and the regime and all that. No, recently I've been a big champion of the guy that did Blue Ruin.
oh
Yes.
yeah, no, phenomenal.
Green
stuff.
Room.
And he also did that one with, for me, the best shootout in the history of cinema is in the one with Skarsgård and Riley Keough. And
The last new one.
And the Native American indigenous, they're on the reservation.
Yes.
And they surrender their baby up to the cult, the Native American cult. You know,
I just saw it. I
it's
can't
something dark. I think
He's
near dark, or
it hold the dark.
it holds the dark, right?
Yes, hold the dark.
That now here's the third one you put with that is Rebel Ridge, and all those three together are like slow burn revenge. But there are sequences in that film that are that shootout with the highway patrol on the compound, the Native American compound, where he has the 50 caliber up in the barn. The coverage is Orson Welles, Stanley Kubrick, Sam Peckinpah.
Yeah.
It's Don Siegel. It's brilliant. I mean, he's got a camera under the wheel of every car there, so that you get to watch people die underneath the cars, let alone what's going on up, the highway patrol vehicles are slowly deteriorating, in sequence, in continuity as it progresses, just amazing.
That is going on my list.
Yeah, I love what a fan you are of everything.
Oh,
It
yeah,
is, it's
I'm
great.
a fanboy. I'm a
Yeah.
fanboy.
We gotta let the man go. We gotta let him go to live
You
his
gotta
life.
let me go, because I'll go do a con somewhere, and I'm gonna run up and tell Ron Perlman how much I love him.
Yeah, you gotta go attack him.
I'm just a
Do you wanna
fanboy like everybody else.
Can we do a lightning round with you? Though?
Yeah, because you being a fanboy, I saw this one great interview with Aretha Franklin, and they were asking her about all the other great singers of all time, and she was giving quick reactions to each of them. And you are the Aretha Franklin of horror movies, in my opinion.
More like I would actually probably say the Urethra Franklin. I'm just trying to have fun here. I'm trying to have fun. I'm sorry.
So, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to get your opinion on other horror icons, real fast and rapid fire. Would you mind?
Well, I
indulging us?
think, you just start doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to salute Richard Brake, Geppetto.
Of
Yes.
course,
Because
yes,
Richard is becoming a great face like John Carradine, and I even think there's a bit of Christopher Lee to him.
Absolutely.
and he's
as
great in
well.
31.
And Richard's, in real life, Richard's tall, and so that's a great asset. I love Anthony Hopkins.
Yes.
I can't get enough of Anthony Hopkins. In horror. I don't have a Dracula except for Gary Oldman.
Really?
Gary Oldman is my Dracula.
Over Christopher Lee.
No, Gary Oldman is my Dracula. Because I've got to use mind's eye. I've got to use mind's eye and his sense of period. So I love that. But I got to tell you, and I don't know the name of it, and maybe it's 4 or 5 years old. You're got to go online and figure it out. David Tennant, Doctor Who.
Yes.
Broadchurch. David Tennant, I saw him on West End. The guy is brilliant. But David Tennant did a serial killer, a chain-smoking serial killer.
Nilsson.
Yes.
I don't know what the name of that
Dennis
project
Nilsson.
is.
It's
BT
Nilsson.
Mindhunter.
Yes. Des. It's about this. It's the movie's called Des, and it's about
Yes,
the serial.
Des.
Yes. It's about the serial killer Dennis Nilsson.
Well, and I'll tell you right now, I love that show Mindhunter.
Yes.
There were some performances on Mindhunter that blew my mind. But that performance by David Tennant is incredible, and everybody should see it. These are the things that are falling through the cracks, that we have to get everybody watching, because what happens is they see so much hype. And I I'm going to go see Odyssey this afternoon. I can't wait. 70 millimeter.
Do you have an extra ticket
with you guys?
Do you have any
But here's
extra
the thing.
tickets? Because there's still tickets.
There's so much hype about other stuff that we don't. No one's spending money on these little gems.
Yeah.
Like Des or to tell us about them or to hype them or you know make them or you know After Dark or whatever that was, you know. But we got these movies are great. I've never met anybody else except you guys that's seen, you know, Blue Ruin, which is just a perfect film.
It's a perfect.
It's a perfect film.
Yeah, it
the
really
slow
is.
burn revenge movie. Oh my God. And that actor is brilliant. I've seen him in lots of stuff.
Yeah.
The guy that played the lead, I'm not sure, but I think all those guys, I think they're all from the North Carolina School of Performing Arts.
Yes,
down
they're all
there.
from. It's like same guys
And they
that
all
Danny
live down there,
McBride.
and then they make one movie a year, you know, but they're really good. You know what? I think Angela Bettis, who's in that great movie May, I think
Great
Angela
movie.
Bettis is one of them, you know, in that
Yeah.
crowd. They're just really talented young people.
What about the ultimate horror icon, Dick Cheney?
Dick Cheney, yes. And shoot me in the face. Classic film. Roger Corman, right?
God, I'd love to see you haunt his dreams. Oh. God, that would be amazing for you to crawl into his nightmares.
Have you ever haunted your own nightmares?
I used to have snake nightmares, and I have the actor's nightmare, you know, where I still am worried about my lines for Merchant of Venice or something.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I know, all the time.
And
yeah.
I've hidden the script backstage, but I can't find it.
I know. Well, honestly, Pinocchio Unstrung, it is going to be available for VOD.
Skip the
Soon.
Odyssey. When you can't get tickets to the Odyssey, you go see Pinocchio Unstrung.
Honestly, it's a good way to get you charged up.
Yeah.
Get ready to go. You are going to love, honestly, I think everybody's going to love the puppets in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's all practical. I was so blown
listen,
away.
for all the hardcore horror fans out there, and I know I have some. Yeah, Pinocchio, it is Pinocchio, but it's Pinocchio Unstrung. We deliver the goods. You'll like it. Get
Great.
yourself a little summer nasty horror fix.
Go check it out, July 24th. That is where
right. That's
it
any
will
day
be.
now.
Yeah, it is coming out, man.
Coming
it is
up.
coming 2 days.
I was it's going to be at the theater in a couple locations. You can
Couple
check
of
it out
days,
or
yeah.
VOD. Just watch it. It's so much fun.
It's really fun.
It's a- you
Turn the
can see
lights off, get a pizza,
Yeah.
crack a beer, and watch it.
Not joking. I've seen basically all of his movies, Reese's movies, and I think it's the best one.
It is the best one. It's definitely no. It's you can see him really getting a hold of things here.
Yeah.
And it's pretty awesome.
Well, they're fun too. They're fun too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I gotta go stand in line, you guys.
Go get him.
Yes!
Go get him. Go make your journey
I gotta
home.
find my shield and my toga.
Oh well, just go, you're not wearing pants. What does it matter?
With my high-heeled sandals.